Jeep's storied history in Toledo is not just a tale of automotive innovation and military utility. It's also a vibrant chapter in American labor history. Now, while the UAW has undeniably played a pivotal role in this narrative, the contributions of various other labor organizations, including steelworkers, carpenters, construction contractors, and many more, have been equally critical to the brand's ongoing success in the region. This broader labor story underscores the collective effort required to sustain a manufacturing giant like Jeep, illustrating the interconnectedness of the different sectors and the indispensable value of diverse labor unions in the industrial ecosystem. Jeep's origins in Toledo date back to the early 20th century when the city became a hub for the automotive industry. The establishment of Willis Overland Motors in 1912 marked the beginning of Toledo's association with what would eventually become the Jeep brand. As the company navigated the tumultuous waters of economic booms and busts, labor unions began to form, seeking to protect workers' rights and ensure fair wages and working conditions. While the UAW emerged as a critical player in the automotive sector, other labor organizations also began to leave their mark on the industry's landscape.
The late 1800s was originally a Pope Bicycle Works, and then Willys Overland, and then after 1941, when the Jeep was introduced to support the war effort, the structure and the manufacturing complex really started to develop. And as it developed, there was a lot of changes. It was a real challenge to keep that operation running and productive. We relied heavily on outside contracting to do things like major elements that we were not capable of doing with our own skilled trades and people at the plant.
I mean, Dana was there at the very beginning, and the Willys Overland Corporation and Ford Motor Company and Bantam all started producing the Jeep. Dana was there at the very beginning with front and rear axles, front and rear drive shafts, and the transfer case. They were all components that came from Dana Corporation.
We did our first project there in 1965 at the Stickney plant, probably about 10 years after our inception of our company. But we've been on site and had pretty much a continuous presence out there since.
Because of the UAW, the Jeep has stayed in Toledo all these years. Again, because of the company turnover, ownership, the protection of the workers and their rights and their wages came from one of the oldest locals in the country. Local 12 is one of the first three we founded. The UAW and the Jeep are tied so tightly together that they cannot be pulled apart.
Steelworkers, represented by unions like the United Steelworkers, played a critical role in Jeep's history by ensuring the availability of high-quality steel, a fundamental component of vehicle manufacturing. Toledo's proximity to Michigan, Indiana, and Pennsylvania steel mills made it an ideal location for automotive production. The labor of steelworkers, stevedores, and loading dock workers, often under challenging conditions, ensured a steady supply of this crucial material, directly impacting Jeep's production capabilities and contributing to its reputation for durability.
1976, I was a young man with a kid that needed a job, walked into a plant on Central Avenue. It was an amazing place. It was the only place in America, I think, where steel came in on Central Avenue and went left on Verdun, it was a car. It started in 1941, as we know, with the vehicle that became known as Jeep that conquered World War II. That was built right there that came up in 1941, and that tradition has lived on.
In the 1960s, at the Port of Toledo, at our general cargo facility, we had Volkswagens coming in from Germany. And when those Volkswagen Beetles came in, oftentimes those ships were reloaded with Jeeps built right here in Toledo that were going back over to Europe to support our military overseas. Manufacturing is part of Toledo's DNA. And so a lot of the leads, a lot of the interest in Northwest Ohio and sites in Northwest Ohio is centered around those manufacturing type opportunities. So we were certainly sensitive to that. Those are the types of jobs that we envisioned at Overland Industrial Park. Ironically, they're working at suppliers for the new Jeep plant at the old site of the old Jeep plant. So it's kind of one site feeding the other now and part of a much larger complex.
Yeah, I mean, Dana's been on the Universal Willys platform since the very beginning, up through when it's changed the name from the Jeep CJ to the Jeep Wrangler platform, Dana has been on every one of them in some capacity. Dana's current axle plant for all of the Jeep products that we make is actually built on the original Willys Overland factory site right along I-75. It was actually really a perfect site for the plant, for Dana to build an axle plant, so we can just go literally right up the road, right up the rail line to the Stickney Road plant where all the Jeeps are produced.
The Overland site was a very transformative project here. Having all the local government agencies and state agencies all combined into one really helped getting that project complete and get it the way that it looks today. It really was truly a collaborative effort, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without all of our community partners.
Jeep's expansion of its manufacturing facilities in Toledo would not have been possible without the expertise of carpenters, contractors, and construction workers. These laborers, represented by organizations like the Associated General Contractors of Northwest Ohio and various construction trade unions, were responsible for building and maintaining the physical infrastructure that houses Jeep's production lines. Their work enables the company to adapt to changing demands and technologies, facilitating growth and innovation.
I mean, we're there as the regional construction manager for the Jeep plant, and we perform the work that the UAW doesn't perform. So you have the strong, skilled trade workforce with the UAW performing the regular maintenance, some of the production upgrades. And when you get into times like the changeovers in 2017, where there's a couple thousand tradesmen on site, it's a big labor draw for the area, and there's not a lot of places that could support, the quality tradesmen and manpower that's required there.
Well, I worked in a 100-year-old plant for a while, and it always needed repair. So we relied on local contractors, on local building trades, on small business people to bring parts to the old plant. When you went to a new plant, it was much more modern, but guess what? It was a sprawling plant, and it needed every local trade person that we had to build that new plant.
As Jeep has grown over the years and developed, and the brand has gotten stronger, Rudolph Libby's grown with Jeep as well. So it's an important client of ours, and it's an important partnership that we've had for a long time.
Other labor organizations have also contributed significantly to Jeep's success in Toledo. Electricians, machinists, and many other skilled tradespeople, represented by their respective unions, continue to play essential roles in maintaining the complex machinery used in vehicle production. These workers ensure product lines run smoothly and efficiently, minimizing downtime and maximizing output.
There's so many different pieces to the puzzle to make this work, right? To make us have a good quality product. Just like on the production line, our union brothers and sisters work the production line. They also are fed material handling, and for skilled tradesmen, we are there to make sure that they are ready to go when time is to run production. During any type of outages or breakdowns, we're there to service that equipment as well to make sure that they get back up running as soon as possible.
We've done everything we could possibly do to make sure that we're successful, because if we're not, we can't eat. We punch our meal ticket at that plant, and our membership understands that. So they go to work every single day and try to build the absolute best car that they can.
When you see a Jeep going down the street, a lot of people can say, well, I might have put that part on that Jeep, but there's so many people in this community that can say, I helped build the building for you to put that part on that Jeep.
Jeep's interaction with the myriad labor organizations in Toledo has not always been smooth. There have been moments of conflict with strikes and negotiations marking the journey of industrial relations in the automotive sector. But these challenges have often led to progress with agreements on wages, benefits, and working conditions benefiting both workers and the company. This dynamic process reflects the evolving nature of labor relations and the importance of dialogue and compromise in achieving mutual goals.
The new Jeep plant in North Toledo was the direct result of the union negotiations with Chrysler to keep it in Toledo. So guys like Bruce Baumar, myself, and others found that spot in North Toledo for them and convinced them they'd stay here because the workforce is good and they're prideful, and they're pride in the product. So the UAW's history, the Jeep history, it cannot be unwound.
Well, I hired in out of high school in 1972. I was 18 years old. I hired in the Jeep plant, and I was a welder there for many years, and then I got involved with the union, and it's played a huge role. We've had some very combative times with previous owners. American Motors, for example, was one that we struggled with. But when Lee Iacocca came in and bought us as Chrysler, it changed the whole culture. He came in and told us what his expectations were. We thanked him for being honest. We promised to meet his expectations, and of course we exceeded them. And we were the best performing plant in North America for a decade or so, the most productive based on how many cars you put out per payroll hour. And we're still hitting home runs in my view.
Jeep's impact throughout the community, I think, is something that you should not overlook. In fact, it's really evidenced, if you will, by what makes up our labor union, UAW Local 12. And they have like 64 individual units. Well, Jeep was always the primary unit, but those other companies that became part of that Local 12 were often support and involved in the successes that we've had at the Jeep plant.
In recent years, Jeep's collaborative spirit with various labor organizations has been critical in navigating the challenges of globalization, technological advancement, and economic uncertainty. Jeep's commitment to innovation, quality, and worker welfare has helped sustain its success and cement its legacy in Toledo. The ongoing cooperation between the UAW, steelworkers, carpenters, construction contractors, and the other labor unions continues to drive the brand forward, demonstrating the power of collective effort and solidarity in the modern industrial landscape.
The Northwest Ohio Building Trade, which is a collaboration of electrical, mechanical, roofers, every trade that you can think of, came out and worked their tails off to get the new plant built and get it built on time. Chrysler had a very tight schedule, and they made that their priority in this community, and they're a big part of our success today.
Our organized labor, our UAW, that's been a huge contributor to our success because we've been able to successfully add more employees on the job to basically minimize the impact it takes on people's bodies to produce that vehicle. The UAW and all labor unions have really helped us mold who we are, and hopefully going forward in the future it'll be even stronger.
I once heard a Stellantis executive say that Dana is not just attached to Jeep at the hip, we're attached at the shoulder and the elbow and the hip and the knee. As Jeep goes, Dana goes traditionally, because we've been a part of their storied history for over 80 years.
Success for Jeep is success for the Rudolph Libby Group. It's success for the family members or the workers, and it's success for Northwest Ohio and the Toledo area.
We didn't care who owned the company. We owned the Jeep, and we worked for the Jeep, and then the Jeep worked for the company. But our pride in that product and the singularity of what that vehicle meant to the city and the generations of people that work there and the retirees and their family, didn't matter, Stellantis, Chrysler, Daimler Chrysler, American Motors, or no, it was the Jeep, and the Jeep is Toledo.
Jeep's labor story in Toledo is a testament to collective spirit that drives industrial success. It highlights the interconnectedness of different sectors and the critical role that labor unions play in fostering innovation, ensuring quality, and advocating for worker rights. As Jeep continues to evolve in the face of new challenges and opportunities, the enduring partnership between the company and its workers remains a cornerstone of its legacy in Toledo, embodying the strength found in unity and the shared journey towards prosperity.